Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the next part of the Bang Shishigami project, where, well, as you can pretty plainly see, last time we got green. We finished off a little bit of the kind of the metal first coat, but generally speaking, we did two coats of green up top and one coat of green on the bottom, which was very wrong. Second one's looking pretty good. It's going to need another coat. And now that we're getting pretty close to this, I do have to say, Bang is looking kind of happy about this. The camera will zoom. He's getting pretty pleased that we are where we are in this process. So we're almost there. So this time, what I would like to do is I like to get. I already showed two coats of green on the top, so I'm going to do the second coat on camera here. It needs another one. I'll do the rest off camera, which is fine because I'm not going to be finished today. So I'll get the second coat on the pants. I'm going to come. I want to try a darker metallic on kind of all this, well, metallic stuff. Maybe get a second coat on like the top of the gauntlets and the belt. And then we'll see where we go, time permitting on that. May or may not have time after that. I might do something with the nail. The nail still needs some work. Then really all that's left from there is going to be the gold detail stuff and kind of re-lightening out the hair, because the hair is still now very dark. But first things first, let's go take all of this stuff off. So it's less stuff that can come off, come off, come off, come off, come off. Less stuff that can break by accident, which it's not going to break if it can't come off. I keep forgetting just how many parts this thing has. Oh, I'm getting... This is a very tight attachment. I'm not going to lie. And yeah, this, I like the color, but it definitely needs more of the color. Let's see, I have all of my paints are now stored off of my work area, so I'm trying to keep this as clean as possible, which is kind of impossible when I have all of this junk sitting on the side, and I have all of that junk sitting on that side, so we're doing what we can with this. I will never be known as the most organized person in the world here. Where's the brush I was using before? I believe something like this was the brush I was using last time. It worked out pretty well. It had the right combination of cut-in ability versus actually being able to spread stuff. And I'm hoping there's going to be a decent chunk of this left in the end, so that when all is said and done, I can do the third coat without having to remix this, because that would be nice to not have to think about that part again, just be able to do after this. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of get this inside part, so if I do stick them back together afterwards, this part will be dry. Bim bam boom, done. I'm getting the impression there's enough paint in here for one more coat, so not super concerned with that. Otherwise, hopefully this part goes relatively expediently, because I would like to get as much of this little stuff as I can get done, because I would like to just kind of focus on the gold stuff in the next section, and then that would kind of be it, quote unquote, for the painting phase. If I come back and do anything with the base, I can kind of touch up painting stuff there. So I do want to leave some work behind so that I can do the painting aspect with that. But at the same time, I don't want to leave too much work that I'm not going to be able to finish it and have to come back for like a 15-minute segment or something at the very end. Because I do need to show the entire thing. I'd like to have a finished product at the end of this. So trying to time this correctly so it all kind of finishes together is going to be the actual trick. You guys don't do it. You can just kind of sit back, relax, and watch as this thing unfolds. But I feel like my game plan right now is just to try to time this as well as I can to get it all to kind of resolve itself in a good, timely manner in the end. That said, most of the gold detail things are going to take probably two coats to do. It doesn't look like it's the ultimately the shiny kind of gold stuff that I've had on the other models, it looks like I can just use like a satin gold or satin kind of yellowish color and it's going to work out pretty well. But at the same time, I think a lot of these kind of filigree things are going to take 2 coats to get right. The decals on his jacket, though, are probably just going to be a one and done kind of deal. So in some ways, I'm a little less concerned about that, but that they are still going to probably take a decent amount of time just to do. It's not physically a lot of paint, but it will be not the easiest painting job to get that to look correct. Hey, look at that. We can see white down there. Also, let's go and angle you down just a little bit, because odds are I'm going to be down here a little more. Yeah. The problem with this stuff is I'll always see just a little more white. So there's always going to be like some little teeny bit of primer somewhere that kind of just like, haha, you missed me when it comes to painting. And I'm going to finish this whole project. I'm going to put the brush down. I'm going to put everything down. And I'm going to come back at some future point and go, yep, I sure missed a spot or more. It's going to happen. Otherwise, we are still the same day. I haven't had a good 3-segment day in quite a while. So it feels actually pretty good to get big progress. Plus, I had the one last night as well. So I pretty much have like a week's worth of stuff I've now gotten done in, well, about 24 hours worth of time. So this feels good for me to finally kind of bring it all together again. But I'm also, like I said in the last segment, I'm really curious how this thing is going to end, and I'm like now in kind of beast mode to try to pound this out to see how it all ends in the end. I'm getting really curious. I'm getting excited for it. So this is one of those fun parts of the project that always kind of happens. This is why I enjoy the painting phase. Now I was going back through kind of between this one and the other because it has been a decent amount of the afternoon has passed now since the last segment and this one. So I kind of spent some time kind of going back through some of the older videos of kind of the starts of the project and whatnot, where it's just kind of putting the clay down, getting it started, and where things all kind of came from. And yeah, it's still done. I've done, like I said, this is probably I think this is the 15th or 16th model I've done, and it still amazes me just kind of going back and seeing where things come from and how it all kind of plays out, and trying to get the green off of this, even though I am going to be painting it right back over again, but it would still be nice not to have green on that. But there is still that little bit of wonder of just like, wow, this came from nothing in the beginning, and now it looks like a little figure. It kind of looks like what it's supposed to look like. It's not 100% how I envisioned it going from the start. I mean, it is still, I'm not great at like 100% replications of stuff. There are other artists who can do that much more consistently. I could probably get like individual areas of this may or may not be exactly what I want them to be. But overall, it still gives the impression of what I want. I think it came out okay. Is it perfect? No. Did it come out good? I think it came out pretty. In my mind, it came out pretty good. I enjoy it. And right now, I'm my own client, so as I've said before, unless you guys start like cursing me out in the comments sections and saying, no, this is not good, I was going to assume you're okay with stuff too. You've been hanging out so far, and I'm thankful for that. And I hope you think it's actually come out in a positive manner. Hopefully you've learned something from the process. You've gotten something maybe out of this if you want to do your own kind of artistic endeavor, musical endeavor, academic endeavor, fitness thing, whoever it is. This has maybe given ideas on how to take the complex, whatever it is you're working on, break it down into smaller parts, kind of plan out how you're going to tackle this kind of from start to end, execute on that, keep going with it. You hit phases that work really well, you hit phases that don't work very well, and you just kind of go with it. And I'm hoping, if nothing else, you've gotten something in that regard out of this. I'm less concerned you got like how to physically go about and build a model like this, and more of just if this is more of a blueprint on how to do kind of any kind of, like I said, any kind of endeavor you're going for, just to have the plans in place. How do you go about executing on these plans? How do you make your ideas come kind of to life? Hey, look at that, more white right there. Like I said, there will always be, no matter what I do, I'm always going to find some section that just got missed. It just happens every single time. Because there's literally just so much stuff on him that needs paint that it's almost hard not to miss some stuff. But yeah, no, my goal is to kind of show in order of operations on how to get stuff done, not necessarily the quality wise, because quality can change depending on what your expectation for something is. If you have infinite amount of time and you want to use that kind of infinite amount of time, you can make things as nice or as not nice as you want. If you have limited time frame, your quality is going to change. Like I said, if you have unlimited time frame, it's, yeah, quality, yeah, is one of those things I'm less concerned about in terms of, for me, I look for a certain base level of quality. I do want this to look like a person. I want it to read as the character I want it to read at. There is something I want, but I'm also not obsessing over every single little detail. I know things are being done on camera. I know in order to kind of just keep things going, I have shortchanged some things in the end. I'm looking at like the scarf work and whatnot, although the painting has helped on that scarf kind of hide a number of, it feels like, deficiencies I'd put in that. I know the face isn't 100% correct. That brow wound up being just way too deep. But if I'm moving the lighting into a more favorable, not overhead lighting like I'm using right now, even that kind of starts to work its way out. So there have been things that don't work out. And the quantity of those types of things I'm fine with. Again, if you're doing your own, you might obsess, or not, obsess isn't the wrong word, but you might focus more on those types of areas and you might put more effort into making sure they work more correctly. They kind of reach whatever level you want. So quality, I'm less concerned with on these in terms of information that I'm imparting onto you or ideas that I'm imparting. And it's more of just in order of operations. How do you break stuff down? How do you identify things to break down? What's in order you go through? How do you approach these kind of problem areas? And that kind of thing. And if I've done that, then I feel like I've done my job to a sufficient capacity. That said, I'm not, like I said, I do want to take, after this is done, I know I've mentioned a lot of times now, and I will do it again. Like I said, I want to take probably about 2 weeks or so off of the modeling end of things. But at the same time, I don't want to disappear for 2 weeks. You do that, and all of a sudden, you're just gone. Anybody who is watching just all of a sudden disappears. I know how that works. So I don't want to disappear completely for the time. I'm just not yet 100% sure what I'm going to do to fill that time. I'm going to do something else. Like I said, whether it's maybe an alternative building project, maybe it's going to be fitness stuff. There are definitely a couple games out there. I haven't really played any video games in quite a while, and it might not be a bad thing just to kind of go through one or two of those things kind of again during that time. Just kind of find some other way to relax and just kind of enjoy things. So, and you might get some, if you tune into my channel after this is done. Yes, I might take a day or two off, I don't know. But in general, I'm not going to be gone for very long. And I would like to put something on here. Just have the expectation that, hey, if you're listening to this right now, that it might not be the usual kind of model building thing for just a little bit. It'll be something else. Some other avenue that I might go down. Okay. So at least now everything has that. And there's still plenty of green here. I can definitely do one more coat with this. So hopefully this just needs 3 coats and it'll be done. But as I said before, we're going to do the 3rd coat off camera, kind of like how I've been doing the reds. We're just going to do that off camera. And that should be fine. And since I did the last bit of red, actually right before dinner, and now we're kind of going a little after dinner, I probably should change the water out on this. Oh well, we're cleaning this out with this, so it is what it is. So I just kind of rinse it off that, and then I kind of just get the excess off on here, and that tends to get me down to a nice clean brush again. Again, typically I at least won't use the same brush directly after the previous attempt at using it, but there will still be, I can still go back and reuse it for something at that point. So, okay, what I wanted to do next was I wanted to take my shiny metal silver stuff here, and I kind of want to add a little bit of black to this. Because, again, this view doesn't show it as well. That's not the one. This is the one. So you can see the metalwork, especially you can see down at the bottom, is significantly darker. It's not as dark as the black. So I'm not looking for a shiny black, but I do want this to be definitely darker than what it is. So we have, where's the stirring stick? There we go, stirring stick. We added some black to this. Now, as long as it continues to hold the metallic shine, I think I'm going to be okay. I think we want darker than that. Oh, I'm getting black paint over everything. Here's how the fingers turn black. Sorry about that. My fingers are now turning black because that's being dumb. Okay, this is starting to look... It's definitely deeper. It's definitely a deeper color. And let's see how it does. Yeah, I think this is too light now. This is definitely... It's not in the same kind of character as the rest of it. So, like I said, the hair became... I still have to fix the hair. It's been episodes. I've been saying that for episodes now. Still haven't done it. But let's see if we can darken this stuff up and see what happens when we start darkening this up. Like I said, now the green has become now a darker green. I know the hair is now a darker hair. So everything has been kind of darkening up. Okay, good. This still has that metallic shine to it, and it is definitely a darker color. So hopefully I would like to just do that, but being as I just painted that section, we're jumping on these first, and we're just going to get the gauntlets and arm stuff kind of done, and then we'll jump onto that part. Because by then, again, this only takes a few minutes for these acrylics to really dry sufficiently to hold. I have a hairdryer sitting in my truck too, which I keep the hairdryer in the truck for work if I'm doing kind of more handyman stuff and or kind of sheetrocking, whatnot. I like having that in there if you just kind of have to spot spackle something to just dry it instantly so you can kind of then get in, on, done, and move on with things rather than have to sit there forever and wait for things to dry. Or especially if you're doing kind of a handyman type project, you want to have a one-day thing. Just get it to dry quick. Just get in, out, and you can be done. Because it feels bad if you have to come back the next day just to do like a little 5-minute touch-up. Definitely feels bad. So my hairdryer is actually in the truck, not in the house, but could use that to help dry things quickly. But this does not need it. And again, if this winds up being too light still, I can always darken it again. That is not an issue. And that reminds me, I still have to do this again, which I think I mentioned in the beginning as one of the areas that needs to be touched up and or done, but yes, it does. Yes, it does. Am I on camera? Kind of. Camera's pointed like halfway down, so I'm a little bit off. Alright, so as soon as this is done too, I'm going to go out and finally get a workout in today, because it's, according to the radar and all that, it was supposed to have kind of rained most of the day. They said it's been like clouds and stuff overhead, but it hasn't done anything. So, no matter what it is, once this is done, I'm going out for a run. And then we're going to see how Lunge Fest goes after. As I said before, my master plan for trying to get quads back in here, they're kind of into form, is we're going to try doing the lunges after, generally speaking, runs. After bike rides, it's not as organic, so I have to kind of walk out like quarter mile and then lunge my way back to my place, which is a little awkward. But after a run, I just kind of end my run early, and it's a little bit of an uphill to get kind of to my area, to my place. Yep. So I'm essentially doing uphill, slight uphill kind of lunges, and hopefully that will fire the quads up and get them to be stronger. Because again, I have about 6 weeks to. And actually, yes, as of when you're viewing this, it is still about 6 weeks worth of time to really get myself in shape. And then it's like another 2 weeks of not R&R, but just kind of scaling things back a little bit. So it was a little recovery period before the actual race. But yeah, my time to get ready for this race is now somewhat limited. If I were back in like high school or whatever, I'd be like 6 weeks. That's forever. That's never gonna come. That's like an entire season. I come back nowadays and I'm like 6 weeks. Oh shoot, that's it. Oh, I can't do anything in that. It takes my body like, if I were starting the zone 2 again from scratch, it takes about 8 weeks to get results off of that. So I'm already out of that if I had to start from scratch. So, okay, I think the darker is feeling a little more in character next to the black stuff that's on here. It still does stand out a little bit. I can still read it as its own thing, but yeah, it's not as like in your face shiny like it was before. And I think that's kind of what I want to see. Yeah, no, time definitely goes different nowadays compared to anything that had to do with school. Before, I guess when you have like assignments due, like you have something due every night, you have something due every day, you're just kind of used to things being done at that kind of scale of, well, scale of life. You have stuff due all the time. Like everything's kind of due either daily or weekly, or nothing is ever due like monthly. It's like you and I have a book exam or like a book review or whatever is like done in a month. You're like, oh wow, I can wait until last weekend to do that. So it's just like the mind isn't taught to think of things in terms of that kind of scale. But yeah, getting older, you tend to work in that scale a lot more. Things don't happen right away. You kind of notice things take time. Things take time to develop. So just kind of get used to that, I guess, frame of mind, that kind of scale of life. And yeah, now all of a sudden, if somebody says something has to be done like within a week, or something has to be done like right away, it's like, oh shoot, I'm not used to doing this. Why is this happening? That's not how life works anymore. So yeah, 6 weeks is going to go by like nothing. Which is great because we've now passed that halfway point of summer, so nature is now fighting a losing battle, And in theory, things should start cooling off sometime soon. Or we have statistically at least hit the hottest part of the year, and we are over the hump. Which generally what that means is, yes, the highs of the day and stuff will still get like as high as they have been, but they tend to not last as long in that area. So if you have like temperatures hitting like 95, 100 degrees or whatever as a high, when you get that in the middle of July, like early to middle of July, it can kind of hit that and then stay there for hours on end. Now, at least as time is going on, it may still hit that temperature range, but it might stay there for, like this week, it may still hit there for like 2 hours or so. In a couple weeks, that'll drop down to like, it may still hit those temperatures, but it'll stay there for like 1 hour or so. And it kind of, it diminishes its chance to stay in these high temperatures. So that's making me feel very happy. Somebody who doesn't like summer to begin with, just knowing that we're technically over the hump is a good feeling. It would be an even better feeling if we were not still in July. But at the same time, once we get out of July and into August, I'm going to be freaking out for other reasons, aka the race. So in a way, it's still kind of nice mentally to be in July, even if it's for kind of the wrong reasons. But that's just me. I know everyone else seems to love summer months and all that, and I think once summer breaks disappeared, that just, the love of summer went bye-bye. Still get through them. That's not an issue. I did do underneath, right? I can't tell if I did that, and I think I did this, but I can't tell. So all I'm getting on my view is a shine from the light up above, and that's not helping me. This one I know I did. Okay. So now that is done. Can put you down there. Yes, there are still a couple of little green spots that it went on a little thicker, but in general, as we can see, I am like 20 minutes into this session, well, I guess section too, and it's already dry enough to hold. Until I put this down and realize my fingers are green. But it feels dry enough to hold right now, so we're just going with it. Yeah, already this is feeling better being darker again than the lighter was. I think this should be the final coat of it. This one seems to cover pretty well. So hopefully this will be the final coat of this. So long as the color looks nice once it dries. That will determine if this is the final coat or not. I think the quality of the coat, quality of the coverage itself is going to warrant this to be fine to be a final, but it's more of if the color is actually correct is going to warrant whether this is the last one or not. But the darker here is definitely reading more like what I want it to read than the lighter was. The lighter was just a little too in your face. So now I need to do stuff without holding bad spots. Even though you've watched me now paint this 2 other times before, you watched me do this for a 3rd time. But like I said, I'm bringing something new to the table on this one, so it's worth bringing it out for the 3rd time. If I wasn't bringing something new, aka this is just a new color on it to the table, then yeah, this would be done off camera like I've been doing the red. I still probably have 1 or 2 coats on the red to go before I'm happy with it, but it looks like at least on camera it's reading pretty good, so I'm not super concerned with that. That said, I need to do more coats on the detail-y red stuff, the chords and whatnot. I haven't done a second coat on those. So maybe once this part's done, I can focus. I'm like putting off this hair as long as possible. I don't know why. For some reason, I've been just mentally putting off this hair, and I'm probably gonna do it again because there is enough of this other little stuff to kind of get done here. Which also is making me slightly nervous at the prospect of finishing this next session. Who knows, it may wind up just being a really short additional session in the end. Or I think I know kind of, I have an idea if I want to do, what was I saying, a cobblestone street kind of thing, how to do that. Again, most people will probably use like a foam base or something for that because it's really easy to carve that kind of thing out of. But I'll be honest, I'm a builder, I'm a carpenter, I'm a woodworker. It's going to be done out of wood. So it will use more Dremel work. You've already seen how Dremel work kind of works or doesn't work on camera. When I went and I did, I'm pointing to the nail, which apparently is off camera, just looking at my screen. But it is something I can do with that probably without too much effort. I'm not sure how to get it painted super nicely. It's going to be... Actually, no, painting probably wouldn't be too bad. I think it'd take a little longer to paint that than I would like to, because if you want it to be correct, you have little kind of variations in every single kind of cobble that goes on there. So it wouldn't be a straight uniform color. So it would take a little more effort to get the effect that I would want off of that. But I think it's still, I have an idea how I can do that and make it work. It's not too bad. There's always a way to make stuff work. That's the good part. You can always find ways to make things work the way you want them to. Nothing is ever impossible. I'm going to say rarely things are ever impossible. Especially for like these types of projects. It's not that things are impossible, it's just a matter of skill, time, and material that you have. Do you have the proper materials to get something done? Do you have the time to do it in? And do you have the skill to hit the expectation that you've set for yourself? As long as you can kind of hit all 3 of those targets, you're generally okay. And usually if you can hit 2 of those targets, you'll still wind up with a fairly decent result. If you have time and you have the materials, even if you don't have the skill to kind of get all the way you want, with enough time you can kind of work out some of the details. Skill will just kind of make things go quicker in a way. Skill will help you have that time factor. Now, skill can also help with safety issues, but that's a whole different kind of can of worms if you start opening up the safety package on that. But ignoring that issue, especially like with saw uses and whatnot, ignoring any kind of safety stuff, if you just have materials and time, you can do whatever you want, kind of regardless of the skill factor. That said, if you have just the materials and skill, you may not need the time factor to get things to work the way you want, because skill will mean you can do more stuff in less amount of time. Conversely, if you only have skill and time and not the materials, then you can kind of use the information you have and kind of MacGyver your way through certain projects, which has happened at work a number of times. Sometimes you have to be very creative to get things right, and there's still white showing on here. There will always be a section of white somewhere. It will always happen. It's like when you were taking down sheetrock and pulling up floors and whatnot. There will always be an extra screw or something in the wall from pulling down sheetrock. You will always find like one more nail or one more staple in a floor when you're pulling up those things. It just, no matter what, it's like a universal rule. I've done now 2 coats on the skin, and I've done 2 coats on the green here. I have now 3 coats on the silver on that, and 1 coat on the belt, and there is still a white section right there at the confluence of like all of those. And it's just every time, every single time. It's like one of those guarantees of life. It will just death, taxes, and there's always one more. Those are the three givens in life: death, taxes, and one more. Let's see. We are improving things in a timely manner. How are we doing on time? Okay, so we have about 25 minutes left. So we are definitely moving beyond this. I do believe there's also going to be some time between this coat and next, because again, I do need time to then do another coat on the green. You've seen 2 coats, you don't need to see a 3rd coat painted of that. So I'm going to get a number of things kind of prepped out and ready between this and the next one. Also because there is a chance the next one would be the final. So, or I could just make it and say, all right, if it winds up being an hour-and-a-half session, it's an hour-and-a-half session. That's just what it's going to be to kind of finish it out. I might just do something like that. Because I'll be honest, the detail work that goes on his jacket stuff on the yellow, I honestly don't know how fast or slow that's going to go to reach the desired effect that I want. So those don't come up, those types of details don't come up terribly often for me. So that could be incredibly quick, that could take forever, I'm not sure. So trying to judge the amount of work I would like to have for the final segment that I do, it's just a little harder to judge that. So I'm going to file it under is what it is. But I said, I think this is segment 39, which would mean in general this could be finished either in 40 or definitely by 41. The painting stuff is all finished, which again, compared to the Night Witch one, the Rain one, which I had shown off before, that's going to wind up about 7 hours or so faster than that one was. So again, for as long as this may have seemed like it's taken from your end, it has been more expedient than others. Also, Bang here has a lot less painting involved than the Rain one did. Rain just had a lot of different colors going on. There were subtle differences in them, but it was just quantity. There was a lot of different just colors happening. So just because that Bang here doesn't have a large quantity of color thing going on. His is just, it might be quantity of material that has to be covered, but in terms of actually painting it, it's really not that bad. Making sure I hit every spot. There's the real trick. And we are almost there on this part. And then we can move on to, like I said, the gauntlets and belt need the one more coat. The black down here still needs one more coat. The hair still needs to have highlights put in. And I could start first coating some of this gold as well. So there are a number of areas I can go off of on this segment. At the same time, I could just do a second coat on some of those areas off camera, just so I kind of get myself more prepped for the final one, and then just, in which case I could just jump on the gold, kind of on the filament stuff here right now, on the scroll work. That's probably the word or phrase I'm looking for. And I can do like a second coat of black or whatever off camera, because it's not, again, adding much to this experience. I don't know. I just feel like right now, if I'm going the pace I am and I want to show everything, we're going to wind up in a weird spot on the final session. And I'm trying to limit the weirdness of the final session. So that's all what this talk is about. Me kind of talking to myself, to you, because you're stuck listening to me on how to go about this. But, so I get that. And yeah, I think that reads better than it was. Everything else kind of got toned down darker, so this kind of now fits the tone of a lot of the other stuff. Okay, so if I have 20 minutes to go, maybe it is worth just putting a coat of gold on some of these parts, kind of get that started, not have the jacket part done. I'll just, like I said, jacket's going to be one coat in the end anyway. But maybe it's worth getting a first coat on the gold, just so I can start on that process. There's going to be a lot of stuff that needs a first coat. And for that, I think I'm just going to use the gold ochre here. It seems to kind of match what he has going on. It does seem kind of gold-ish, or it seems more gold-ish, than yellow-ish. I'm scrolling through my own kind of larger image of this. And yeah, I think this reads more gold than yellow. So we're just going to start with this, and I do have, it just looks like the other ones, but I do have the metallic gold. It was here. It just looks like the other golds that I have. So I'm just going to go straight off of this right now. And whoop. Okay, you are now good enough to hold. And what is the best brush that I have? Because, oh boy, this is going to be a journey. Almost forgot I still have hands to do. There we go. Just waiting for that thing to pop. Okay, time to get these gloves to read, because I've been mentally putting off these knuckles and whatnot for far too long, and I need to remember that they exist as things that exist. Because I've been staring at the leg ones forever. I really haven't been looking. Let's go down just a little bit more. Okay, and also, once this is done, I am going to go out, like I said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my run. Then after that, I do kind of need to make sure I actually upload the video for tonight. I now have plenty of videos on hand. I'm good for, I think this one goes up on a Wednesday. So I am good this time in terms of stuff ready to go, but I haven't transferred anything. I haven't even transferred tonight's from my laptop to the desktop yet. So I do have, so after this run is done, I got to get back and remember to do that. But that's not a big issue. It's just sometimes when you walk away from something, like I'm going to go out there, because I don't want to wait too long to do the run. I would like to get that done sooner rather than later. We're going to get into Okay, we need to get old this phase of things, because I'm not sure how successful this is going to be staying on camera. I feel like I've been really bad at it before, but frankly, I can't do this. This requires a much steadier hand and closer vision than I can give otherwise. The only nice thing about this is if the gold misses some of this white stuff, the white is actually pretty close to the golden color, so it kind of works its way out in the end. Though I would still prefer to not miss anything, and I think I need more on here. That said, this is the harder of the two gauntlets because this one, these little elements are right behind these prongs. So it's a little less forgiving. And I did get black all over this stuff. So you have a little bit of that to kind of fight against. Which is again another reason to get a first coat on here right now, because it's going to take the couple coats to really kind of cover up that black stuff that I have hit. I still kind of... If my fingers are blocking the way, I apologize, but there's only so much I can do in this little space to make this work. So I do apologize a bit for that. And also, now that my glasses are off, I can see that I did not cut in these knuckles well at all. Actually, it wasn't terrible. Wasn't the greatest cut in, but it wasn't terrible. The good thing is when I get to the boot kind of details, they should be much easier. Because I can at least get to those areas without as much problem. One of these days too, I'm also going to maybe shave one time, so if my face keeps coming down into like the camera, I'm not sure if it is or isn't, but if it does, I actually look halfway decent. Might be nice. Making my internet debut, looking all scruffy like. Although I guess, you know what, I'm just being in character for Bang, that's all it is. I'm just being in character for the dude. Okay, so we have... That one is done. We need you. Are we on camera? Maybe. I'm looking at my computer screen if it helps me in any way, shape, or form, even though I can't physically see the computer screen without the glasses on. Okay, at least, yeah, this one I can get to the stuff. This brush is not as great. The tip is kind of twisted just a teeny bit, and it's not helping things. But at the same time, I can see the twist in it, so I know kind of how to load the brush to use that twist to my advantage. But at the same time, I'd rather not have to do that kind of tricky-do stuff. Would be nice. And think about it, I didn't actually finish the other hand. I realized I'm missing another portion. Where the cutoff on the fingers are also has a little kind of gold ring on it. So I'm missing a little bit of stuff, but I can come back to it. So on the one hand, I'm like 7 hours ahead of my rain project. At the same time, any of these kind of painting things that I had to do, kind of the real detaily things, I did those off camera as well. So not only am I 7 hours ahead of that one, or thereabouts, at the same time, I'm physically doing more stuff on camera than I did during that one. So there is that. Okay, I think I'm on camera. No, I have no intention of getting contacts either to help with this kind of dilemma and kind of help with this site. I've had glasses for something like 35 years or something at this point, getting close to it. And I'll be honest, I have no intention of just straight up sticking stuff in my eyes anytime soon. I've been okay with the glasses. They've worked for a great deal of my life. And that's just going to be that. I'm not sure how contacts would work with this kind of thing though. Does it have as good? I believe my nearsightedness makes me much better at this. I'm definitely better at this right now without glasses than with, kind of at this level. But okay, so we have that. And what I didn't do on the other fingers was, I apologize, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see me do this. Well, being as close as the gold is to skin color, you really don't see anything. How's that? Yeah, it kind of looks like a sloppy little mess going on there. Okay, anyway, we're putting you down. I'm looking at the clock. I see we have a few more minutes. So we can go pop on this stuff. Oh yeah, we're better doing a coat of this right now, because to do this part later, it's just going to be a time sink. Alright, so we have those. I do believe, if nothing else, the button in the back was actually supposed to be gold. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, everything is I'm hoping these last few minutes are actually viewable on camera, because frankly, this type of stuff I almost entirely need to do like this. So if when I'm reviewing this stuff and I find that none of it is on camera, we're gonna just file that away for future reference on future projects that have this kind of detail-y painting involved. Which really, looking at the Valkyria Chronicles, basically all of them are, they look, generally speaking, less involved on the modeling side of things, but they're all definitely more involved on the painting side of things. Kind of getting that camouflage stuff and whatnot going in. They're all going to take a lot more work in that regard. So, I just need to be prepared for that. And during this off part, I finally did look at the Largo ones, because I hadn't really looked too much at the Valkyria Chronicles 1 characters in a while. I know Rosie and Alicia were kind of on the list of ones to look at, and they they were just kind of plain. They're not bad, they're not good, they're just kind of plain characters. Welkin, again, is just kind of a plainer kind of character. There's nothing really... I think as a character, they're all good, but again, as visual representations, there isn't much that kind of stands out on any of them. So, and as much as I thought Largo would be a possibility as well to add into, oh, you might work out really good for this, he kind of fits in the same boat of, yes, he's a good character, but again, he's not represented on like a still frame or still shot kind of thing particularly well, unless I were to make up a new pose, and I'm very not good at that type of thing. So I think I'm right now pretty okay with the 3 choices I'd put down for the other. I think I am leaning towards one, but I'm still not 100% there, and I'm just going to do a little kind of figuring out. I got to, again, they're not, every project that goes together, you kind of pre-plan from the start, because a lot of things can cross over from one model to another. A number of things, details kind of don't cross over, so you kind of need to do the pre-planning to kind of figure out what info can I use, what techniques and stuff have I used before that I can reuse again. And there's definitely a little bit of that for all 3 of those. So I got to do a little bit of pre-planning before I do any kind of move on their regard. As I said, I think that'll all be a lot of fun. I'm only going to do one. Right now, I've only done one model of any given like game or series or whatever. Well, I have multiple Final Fantasy characters, but they're all from respectively different games. Which I guess is a lie. I have a Saria and I have a Link. So I do have 2 Zelda characters. Although even that, they are technically from different games. I do not have 2 Ocarina of Time characters. I have 1 Ocarina of Time character and 1 Legend of Zelda, original Legend of Zelda character. So in a way, they're different. In a way, they're the same. They are standing next to each other on the shelf that they're on. So they are displayed next to each other, because again, they are both Zelda characters. But technically, they're from different actual games. But like I said, there are a couple of different Blaze Blue characters I would like to do as well after this, if I were to go back through. I believe Tsubaki would probably be on probably top of the list of if I were to do another Blaze Blue character. Not only is I'm probably at least combo wise in the challenge mode stuffs, I'm generally kind of the best with her, but it also has a solid design. It has elements that work in clay, which is nice. Has kind of like it just, her character, again, when I was looking through any of the Blaze Blue ones, because I wanted a Blaze Blue character too, not just Bang to fit the bill. It was another one that kind of stood out, but I just figured I hadn't done a male character in so long that I just needed to needed to come out and try one of these. It would be nice if I could see if I got this in the paint. Okay, I think we're going to have some touch-ups in certain areas, but that's going to be okay. One coat is not covering particularly well, but all the more reason why I'm kind of glad I'm doing my first coat right now, rather than waiting until I'm doing 2 coats on this next time. So next time, maybe the last one, it probably actually won't be the last one. I'll probably have one more after that. I'm probably going to get everything maybe except the decal work done, because I still have the hair to do. I still have the nail to do. I still have the other coats of black. I still have like the belt stuff I need to get another coat on. There are still a number of other things to do that I may just hold off on that and just kind of maybe make the decal stuff a final. And if the final one just winds up being a really short session, it can be a short session, or I can combine it with kind of doing base work. So I was hoping to kind of end painting and start base, or like a stand or whatnot, as 2 separate occasions, but I think it would work just as well doing them together. So that might just be how it is. Oh, and I really, really hope these last 15 minutes have been on camera, because, again, I look over the computer screen, and if I move something around, I can see the movement of what's happening, but I can't see if things are zoomed in nicely. I can't see if I'm centered. I can't see if I'm blocking stuff. So my vision like this is really, really bad. There's a reason I've had glasses for, 35 years. It's not just for looks. Okay, give me one. I know you can't see this part, but just give me 1 second. I'm at optimal angle to see these little things, so sorry, I'm not going to sacrifice it for you. I just want to get this part right while I can see it. Okay, I believe time is up, or probably has been up for, time has been up for a little while, so we got that done. We can see what the gold looks like. I might just do the first coat on that off camera, and then next time will kind of be the hair final coats on a lot of these things, and then figure maybe one more time after that. So maybe next Saturday then will probably be the final session of at least this painting phase, where I'll get the decal work and anything else that just isn't done. It would be nice to kind of do this next time, but I don't want to rush this, kind of like throw things together. I think if I'm going to do it, I'd rather do this nice and make it look good and not just rushed. I still have the nail to do as well, so now there's still a bunch of things that need work. And again, we're just going to finish by putting them all together. Where's the hole? There it is. Because it just feels more right now, ending with all the stuff together. Plus, everything is now definitely dry. And all right, I hear the little click, so that's the good part. Like I said, there is Bang, and as I said before, he's a happy guy. He's feeling pretty good that all of this stuff is coming together. We got the gold there, we got the details. Is it perfect paint job? No, you can probably find better paint jobs elsewhere. But he's looking like what he's supposed to look like. Green definitely needs at least one more coat, for sure. But we have ourselves a dude. And that is where we stand. And that is... I forgot to put the darker gray on this. Oh well. One more reason not to end yet. But no, this is where we are. And this is where we are on the Bang Shishigami project. We are just about there. Like I said, we are probably 2 sessions away. So next time is going to be a lot of the derpy, detaily stuff, second coats and kind of final coats and all the little things. And then hopefully it's just like the decal work and maybe a couple touch-ups after that. But we are this close. And, well, until then and until next time, enjoy.